Welcome back. I am Shelby Zarnick, a licensed mental health therapist and social worker, and I am here today to help you take action to find a way to live your best life in the most difficult times. I'm also asking you to be vulnerable with me. This is the Rise and Thrive podcast. So today's topic is about grief. It's about giving yourself permission to be pissed, to feel sad, to feel cheated, to have those negative feelings that then, lead to anger. Because you're living in a time that's very traumatic. You're living in a stressful situation, in a stressful state. And in order to prevent physical things, negative physical things happening to you, you need to allow yourself to grieve and to have those feelings and process them. Because if you don't, it will come out of your body physically. One of the ways it does that is through physical pain, headaches, neck pain, back pain. Wherever you carry that tension when you're triggered in that stress response of fight or flight. You might have shallow breathing, which affects your oxygen, affects your blood. This will affect your immune system, and right now we need our immune system to be at full 100% ready for battle. So, how we're going to do this is to, one, learn how to grieve, and two, learn how to respond to people when they need to grieve. You're going to learn how to give other people permission to grieve and to help other people, because now is not a time to be selfish. Now is a time to be about be about how to help people, how to teach them skills, and how to allow them to grieve. So, here we go. So, first of all, with learning how to grieve, I'm going to be using a sun analogy. Don't fret about my son. So when you look at the sun, you can only look at it for so long because it will literally burn your eyeballs if you allow yourself to stare at it for too long. And you know that when you burn your eyeballs, you have to allow your eyes to rest, allow them to heal, or give them some self-soothing things to kind of help that process. The same thing is for grief. And so you're going to grieve for just a little bit, and then you need to have an activity afterwards to kind of help you or allow time to rest. So, step one, set a time. That can be 10 or 15 minutes, set a timer, or if you have the ability to allow yourself a day, depending on how this has really affected you, how much agitation and processing needs to be done in your body. Only you know how to do that. So set a time, set a location where it's going to be held, where you're going to do it, and then you need to feel that emotion. And that can either be by stopping and closing your eyes and rehearsing the situations that are triggering it, or you can watch like a sad movie, read a sad meme, whatever it does to make you feel that feeling of whatever you're feeling. It can be disappointment, it can be cheated, other feelings also. Because when you do that, it will also then trigger your brain to flash back to maybe those situations, because if you haven't processed that feeling, it's still inside of you, it's still in your brain ready to be processed, that's how flashbacks can occur. So be yourself with that emotion, let you express it, and then if the timer goes off or however you're going to trigger yourself to come back so you don't burn your eyeballs, you need to do that, and then do an activity. The key is to shift your emotion. So if you're angry, agitated, like you're physically tense, you need to do something physical to release it and turn that off, or do the opposite. If I'm shallow breathing, do some deep breathing, etc. If you're crying, you might need to shift your emotion to humor, watching a funny meme or a sitcom, that kind of thing, or simply, taking a nap because you're so exhausted. That's okay too. That typically can happen. And so again, I want you to challenge yourself to grieve. The second thing to do is to learn how to respond to people that are grieving. And so I'm going to ask you to be vulnerable with them and let them grieve. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Let it happen. If you need to, have some fidget things, ball, like those like stressful balls, or just I fidget with my hand or get a piece of paper and I do a little bit of this. Um, the cool thing about physical distancing right now is we're reaching out to people, through phone calls, through Zoom, so they don't have to see you doing those things. Um, Also, it's about physical distancing. So you could be across the yard or be somewhere where you're 6 feet apart, wearing masks because you need to wear a mask too to prevent yourself from giving it if you don't know that you have it, etc. Um, so be vulnerable with them and give them permission. And then you need to stop comparing. You don't know their situation. Stop being selfish. What is simple to you is not simple to them because you don't know the meaning behind it. For example, a concert got canceled. To you, who goes to concerts all the time, who could see that concert again, that might not be a big deal. To them, it could have been. Maybe it was their favorite person that they saved all that money for to see, and that got canceled. That was a lot of time and effort. Maybe it meant a break from their kids to have date night because it never happens. Or that was the only time it was going to happen for a while because of the next season of their life where one of them might be working a lot, etc. You don't know. Don't try to guess. Stop being selfish. This is a time for community and to help each other out. So, be vulnerable. Feel uncomfortable. Here is how you respond. Your person comes to you and says, man, I can't believe it. Concert got canceled. I know it seems really stupid, but it meant so much to me. And then your response is, you're right. That sucks. That must feel terrible. You should feel bummed, or whatever feelings they said. And then you need to shut up and sit with them in silence that for some people feels so uncomfortable. But sitting in silence lets that person feel that feeling, gives them permission to just sit with that, to really soak in what you said. Maybe you'll start noticing they physically start to relax, or they get agitated because they need to vent and express it out physically through anger, like some people do. But just let them then feel that emotion. Give them the space for that. Also, sitting in silence is allowing them to feel those negative emotions and not feel them alone, where then they feel lonely. And that can be so helpful that you may not even realize that. Let them feel that. If it is physical anger and you're starting to feel scared for yourself or for that person, sometimes once they get it out of their body, that alone allows them to calm and relax because they've been holding it in for so long. Or if you know something about that person, maybe suggest going on a walk to physically get out that agitation. If it's exhausting, take a nap. Kind of some other tools that you would have used for yourself. Think about what you know about that person. Maybe suggest that. Maybe just start doing it. That kind of a thing. But I also want to say, you giving them permission and teaching them that that's okay also will help them so they can start using that forward and so that they don't feel alone. A great video that I'm going to attach below is by this awesome person called Brene Brown. It's a cartoon version, so you can actually show it to your kids, and then you guys can practice the skills and do the skills. Also goes into empathy, how to be empathetic and vulnerable, that kind of a thing. So, your challenge this week is to schedule a time to grieve at least one time. The best way to see if this really works is to do it a minimum of 3 or 5 times. Because when you're doing it, it's going to feel uncomfortable, because if you've never done it before, anything new just feels uncomfortable and weird, and that's okay. Do it. I also challenge you to help someone else, give them permission to feel, teach that response thing, check in with someone that you know might not be expressing their feelings or maybe they're kind of alone. Do that once this week. I'm challenging you to do 2 things this week. And again, I would say do it more because it's going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning, like every time you do something new. So I hope you learned something today. I hope this helps you out, and tune in with me for my next episode.